and today I have my special guest. He's a Canadian entrepreneur, growth strategist, and a founder of a Nerdy Joe, a B2B outbound growth agency, helping companies generate pipeline through a cold email, LinkedIn, content marketing, and strategic partnerships. None other than Mr. David Kyle.
Hello. Nice to be
Welcome.
here.
Welcome, Mr. David, on Entrepreneurship 101. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I
Right on. I am 38 years old. I've been a founder my whole life. I started an SEO content business when I was 21 years old. I grew that into a multi-million dollar motion. Unfortunately, that slowly died through COVID. And on the tail end of COVID, you might be familiar with a technology called ChatGPT that essentially it nuked the SEO content business. So we're talking, a healthy 7-figure business that died out. Through that slow death, and this is a truncated version of affairs, through that slow death, I went out and, sought to acquire some businesses. I ended up acquiring Nerdy Joe about 3 years ago, built it into a really nice concern. And, 3, maybe 4 months ago now, we actually bought a second company, which also, in the same space, which we're now integrating fully into Nerdy Joe. So I hope that's a good enough introduction.
Indeed. And here on Entrepreneurship 101, Mr. David, we salute you. We celebrate you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about being you or being a Canadian entrepreneur. You've said the business that lasts are built by people who never stop selling. Most founders dream of stepping back from
Yeah.
sales. What are you protecting yourself from by staying in the field for 18 years? And what do founders lose the moment they stop?
Good question. Uh, you know, it's not my saying, grow or die. You're only as good as your cash flow. That's just a fact in small business. What am I saving? I mean, look, I've had sales teams. I had a sales team of maybe 9 or 10 guys at our height at the SEO writing business. Not a I'm certainly not allergic to, and in my own experience, I'm particularly fond of founder-led sales. And I think the reason is multifaceted. Number one, you're always gonna be your best evangelist. Number two, it's mission critical that as a founder, depends on the kind of business, okay, but as a founder, that you are in the field talking to your customers all the time. And if that's in a sales capacity, by the way, if that's in a customer success capacity, if that's in an active account management capacity, if you sell shoes or t-shirts, if you sell chocolate bars and you're not talking to your customers, you're missing something. You're missing something incredibly important, which is the whole point of your business in the first place. So it's a personal philosophy. I mean, I happen to think I'm a good salesman, but maybe not.
Hmm.
Okay. But it also it breeds confidence with your team, right? As in,
Hmm.
the more time that you spend at the tip of the spear, facing rejection, real facing real customers that want to or don't want to be in business with you, that inspires your team. And by the way, those wins inspire them, tremendously. So I say, for so many reasons, for so many different kinds of businesses, it's so important.
Truly, truly important. So, Mr. David, you're still closing deals yourself after nearly 2 decades. What does a great salesmanship actually look like at the founder level versus a hard sales rep? And what is one thing the only founder can hear in a prospect objection?
The best salespeople that I've ever met are great listeners. They spend time focusing on important questions that drill deeply into the important discovery motions that it might take to build a good proposal. And I'm talking in a certainly in a B2B context, to build a good proposal, to build a good relationship, and by the way, to do the opposite, to be honest with prospective new business and tell them, hey, I this isn't a good fit, and I'd like to help you, but I can't. And so my simple estimation is the best salespeople hustle. The best salespeople, I like Grant Cardone. I like that, the Andy Elliott never say no school of hard knocks, but also it depends, because sometimes you don't say no and you get into business with the wrong customer, and it tortures your team and it tortures your business and it tortures your time, and you don't want to do that. So, I say the best salespeople are great listeners. They're great. They're inquisitive. They ask great questions, and they synthesize that motion. They synthesize that discovery very specifically against their actual services and their actual strengths and what they're able to deliver in a competent and clean and concise and simple delivery. That's what I say.
A simple delivery indeed. And what is the most expensive lesson you've learned from stepping away from selling at the wrong time in one of your ventures?
It's a good question. I mean, it's not I don't have a great answer for you. I think the simple answer is you need to be ready. You need to understand the macro motions of a sales team from both a hunting and a closing perspective. So what I mean by that is, it's not true that you can just hire a hunter and hire a closer and that is going to be as good as any sales operation. You need to understand, I mean, for sure today, that there's a tremendous amount of market understanding and go to market engineering required to underpin your sales team and to actually deliver real operational success to your SDR team and to your account executive team. So you need to have, I mean, truly like that. And listen, that's nerdy Joe. Okay. That's our business. We are a go to market engineering company. And very specifically, we're out in the field right now, literally hiring engineers and folks in data science, folks that understand the Claude and AI and automations workflows as they relate specifically to revenue operations. And the reason is that underpins great SDRs, that underpins great account executives, that underpins hunting and closing and legitimate revenue operations. But you have to understand that at the end of the day, talent is fickle. You hire a good you have to hire 5 SDRs to find a good one. You have to fire the 4 of them. 2 of them are going to quit. Okay. So 2 of them are going to quit. 2 of them you're going to have to fire in a month, and 1 of them is going to succeed. And you're going to have to, you're going to have to do the same with the closers. Okay. And you're going to have to watch the numbers every single day. And so, long answer, forgive me, but my simple understanding, my simple mistakes that I've made are just you assume that you hire an SDR, you hire a closer, and they're just going to do their job right, and they're going to close for you, and everything is going to be rainbows and roses, and ultimately that's not true. You need to hire, you need to watch, you need to hire hustlers, you need to hire folks that are extremely hungry, and you need to You need to make it happen with them. Otherwise, you need to move on immediately. And it's obviously expensive when you hire when you hire folks that don't work out in sales, right?
Certainly expensive. Beautifully articulated, Mr. David. When a first time founder tells you they want to scale themselves out of sales, what is your first question back to them, and why do most of them answer it wrong?
Another good question. I think there's a lot to be said about the 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 specifics of the founder's case, right? As
Yeah.
in, where's the business? Are you capable of investing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into a tremendous amount of guess and check work within your sales operation? And that works for different market archetypes, that works for different individuals that you're hiring or firing. It's expensive to fail in HR, and it is inevitable with your sales team. That is a question. There's a tremendous question in and around the maturity of the go-to-market engineering. Is everything systematized? Have you built out all of the SOPs and all of the workflows? Do you understand the territory? Do you understand your market by the way, do you understand the variety of your markets that you might or might not go after? And by the way, do you have channels? Do you have outbound and inbound channels operational to support a growing sales organization? And if you don't have those, you're going to hire closers that are going to sit on their hands all day, right? So I don't I'm sidestepping your question a little bit because I think it's so case dependent. So if a founder came to my desk and started talking about scaling themselves out of the sales organization, I'd say it's great, go for it. It's the holy grail. If your operational team is ready to encounter scale, and you're ready to actually build a revenue organization and a big sales team, and like not because if in other words, if you're not ready from a dollars and cents perspective, from a losing money perspective, it's just gambling, right? You're like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
roll the dice. Maybe the salesperson turns into return on investment. Maybe they don't. I don't know, right? And it's
Yeah.
just gambling, you know. I hope that
Well
makes sense.
said.
Sorry, I
Yes,
didn't. Sorry, I didn't answer your question.
well said, Mr. David. And nowadays, because of AI world, everyone using AI for the outbound now. What separate founders using it's a real advantage from those just automating the same bad playbook faster.
Yeah. I was on a podcast yesterday, and I had a similar question, and I took it in a whole bunch of different directions. But my best answer is that I do believe we're encountering a significant amount of, we'll call it AI slop,
Hmm.
in every facet of white collar work now. And it's probably part of the reason now that a lot of classic cold email agencies or cold outreach agencies are struggling. I mean, the hustle bro agency, right? Are struggling because the deliverability is struggling, or they're in niches and they're in markets where there's just so much saturation. And so because of the prominence of AI, of good AI tools that are, roughly equivalent to, what a great copywriter, what a great architect could have done 2 or 3 years ago. And so, there's the 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you had to be a really great copywriter to crush cold email. You don't have to do that anymore because Claude can do it for you. And so there's so much saturation. Okay. So it's true that there's in every, whether you're on Twitter, on LinkedIn, whatever, there's a tremendous amount of AI slop in every facet. And so the winners are folks with taste and discernment. The winners are folks that understand the tools for what they are, and more importantly, are mission oriented very specifically against outcomes. So, in other words, I struggle with this, right? Because our team, I've got a team of engineers who what they want to do literally all day is build in Claude code. That's what they want to do, and I get it, and I love it, and I appreciate that there is so much that you can do, but tinkering for the sake of tinkering and building for the sake of building doesn't that where it doesn't have a natural and an obvious endpoint, where it doesn't have a natural and an obvious outcome, where it's revenue, literally revenue generating activity for me and for my business and for our, and for our clients. I think it's, it can be a sideshow instead of again, a mission oriented and outcome oriented motion. So I mean, I'm meandering here because I also have a more of a science fiction answer for you, but but the point is this: we're in the fundamentally, I think we're in the midst of a tremendous revolution in the broadly speaking in the human organism, as we're starting to uncover and discover and build unlimited synthetic super intelligence in the in LLMs, in Claude, and in Claude code, and in ChatGPT, etc. And I don't know. I think that world is, I think that the world is changing so quickly. So it's an amazing place to be, but you gotta stay trained on the outcome. I mean, that's just period.
A revolution indeed, Mr. David. You've said most founders ignore partnership because they're lower and less sexy than cold outbound. What's the actual ROI of that impatience, and what does a healthy performance based partnership look like in a practice?
You know, I think there's a lot to be said about finding partners that lift you up. I think there's a lot to be said about finding partners that drive brand gravitas, that drive brands, that drive customer acquisition, okay, that are prepared to collaborate with you. I'm going to give you a really basic example, which is that Nerdy Joe is an official certified partner or a managed services provider with Apollo.io. So if you're familiar with the cold outbound industry, if you're familiar with sales development, I mean, shucks, if you have your eyes open to the internet over the last 5 years, you will know who Apollo is. They're a main player in the sales development world. Okay, largely known as a contact database. They've got about 1,000 other things that they're doing now, and they're really just they've turned the corner, truly, in my estimation. And I am a partner of theirs, so grain of salt, I suppose. This isn't an advertisement. Okay, they've got a tremendous suite of software products that they've built around one of the main best in class contact databases. Okay, and so fundamentally as a services partner of theirs, okay, we're on their services page. They're throwing us leads. I'm on the phone with their team once a week. They're engaging and they're encouraging us across a variety of social media content. So we're literally in a formal engagement where they're supporting our social media. They're supporting our content marketing efforts. They're supporting our thought leadership efforts. We've thrown events with them. We're throwing another one in a couple of weeks here in Toronto, a go-to-market meetup with Apollo. And I mean, shucks, they even from a product standpoint for us, for our goods and our services that Nerdy Joe is out in the market, they, number one, they are prepared to and are thrilled to layer feedback against what we're doing against our products and services, but they're also helping to they will also go in and co-sell with us. So I take sales calls with prospective new business, and I'll bring an account executive over from Apollo to give a quick tour of the software and of what they're all about. And the reason certainly is that we want to, in specific cases where it makes sense, where you might have a big sales team that needs an Apollo like solution, you might need to have a complicated and considered setup and implementation. And, that's certainly something we do, but we want to do it with them and in lockstep with the Apollo team. So, I mean, I hope it's a good answer for you. A good partner is somebody that is a good partner, right? Like at
Yes.
the end of the day, it should feel like they are in your corner and legitimately trying to enhance your business and legitimately trying to build your business in a way that is, real and will actually produce outcomes. So it doesn't have to be as full. I mean, the Apollo partnership for us is very intimate and full stack. It doesn't have to be that way. There are, much more one-dimensional partnerships that are very fruitful and lucrative. But, I hope all of that is illustrative in how I think about, good strategic partnerships.
Mr. David, to wrap up our discussion for today, how do you actually balance the obsession required to build a company with the presence required for family life? Or is that tension permanent, or the goal is just to manage it, not solve it?
It's the best, my favorite question.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, I mean, you can see behind me, I've got my dog, I've got my wife behind me, I've got pictures of my children. I have a 3.5-year old and a 1.5-year old. And, I think about it all the time. I think about how to be a great wife. Wow. I think about how to be great to my wife and be a great husband. I think about how to be a great dad, and I think that's the most important thing, and nothing else matters. Okay,
Mhm.
so literally, nothing else to me. The meaning of life, in my estimation, is to be a great dad. Okay, period. That's the end of it. I do want to be a great business person, and I do want to provide prosperity to my business, to my team, and to my clients, right? And of course, that is for sure a mission that I'm driven by. It's for sure a mission that I'm owning against the backdrop of doing best for my children and being a great example to them. And so the balance, I don't have balance. Okay, here's what I do. It's very specifically. I have an alarm every single morning at 5 to 5. I wake up, I have a coffee, I go to the gym by 6, maybe 5:45. Sometimes it's open a little early. I go to the gym for about an hour and 15 minutes every day, Monday to Friday. And then 7 to about 8:15, we get the kids ready, we have breakfast, and then I drive them to school. I drive them to daycare. And then I come to the office, and I am dedicated in the office all day towards my objectives. And then, okay, 4 o'clock, I leave. I go pick my kids up. We go home. We have dinner. And so the truth is, you can't have it all. Okay, and don't try to trick yourself. If you want to be a business owner, you're doing everything. Everything falls on your shoulders. Everybody that is having a bad day, everybody that is failing, every client that is mad at you, everything that's happening inside and outside the business as it relates to your business is on your shoulders, and it's your responsibility to own them and to do them and to make sure it happens. And if you've got a family, if you've got a growing family, if you've got other responsibilities, etc., you have to make sacrifices, and you just can't have it all. It's just the way it is. So either you sign up for it and you burn the bridge and you say, this is what I'm doing. Get up at 4, get up at 5, get to the gym, make sure make sure you take care of yourself, because shucks, if you start breaking down, you're for sure going to fail. Right. Mm-hmm. So make sure you take care of yourself, make sure you take care of your business, and and in the best way possible, understand that taking care of your business, taking care of that revenue generating machine for yourself, taking care of your personal and your family's prosperity is a mission for your children, right? And as long as you are steeped in that reality, then the hard work is worth it, right? And then the tension is worth it, and the sacrifices are worth it. That's it.
Yes, well said, Mr. David. Well said indeed. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your projects, or anything you want to promote on Entrepreneurship 101?
Please. Yeah. Listen, come to our website, nerdyjoe.com. Hit me up on Twitter. It's at David Tile, Tile. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. If you need help with Apollo, if you need help with go-to-market, anything you need from a sales development standpoint, we can support you. Small clients, big clients, whatever you need, we got something for you. That's it.
Yes, indeed. Let's connect with Mr. David. And I have one more question before I will let you go, Mr. David. If I had to give a piece of a candid, unfiltered advice to a founder who is exhausted, barely profitable, and wondering if they should keep going, or what would you say to most podcast guests are too afraid to say?
I say hustle. I say figure it out. I say if you need to pivot, you pivot. If you need to do it, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a small business owner, if you want to, the highs, understand for sure the highs are high and the lows are as low, and that is just the nature of the roller coaster of being a small business, the nature of the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. The highs are high, the lows are low. C'est la vie. Often, I mean, go read Think and Grow Rich. Okay. Often, the biggest breaks, the biggest breakthroughs come right after the biggest lows. And so look yourself in the mirror. Okay. Like, don't, be brutally and extraordinarily honest with yourself. By the way, you don't have to be an entrepreneur. Okay. But if you want to that life, if you want to find that prosperity, it's the best vehicle for prosperity, to be clear. Okay. If you want to find that, you have to burn every other bridge and you have to make it happen. And there's no choice. And there is absolutely, you'll never fail unless you fail. Unless you literally say, I'm done and I quit, you will never fail. So I say hustle. I say figure it out.
Well said, Mr. David. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome, people. See you soon.